Welcome once again to your update from the city of New Hope. Time to chat with the mayor to find out what's new in the city and what might be coming up. Welcome, Mayor Elder. How are you today?
Fabulous. How are you, Dave?
I'm very good. Thanks for joining
Great.
us here. A lot to talk about going on in the city. First opportunity now is to talk about the meeting on the 27th of the City Council. And Mayor, a few points that you wanted to mention to the public. First, related to the water tower. Some painting is going to be scheduled, correct?
Yeah, we will be doing this painting over a 13-week period of time, yeah, coming up this spring and summer. And we put it out for bid, and the project estimates were that it was going to be about $2.1 million. That'll include uh, the sanding and painting of both the inside and the outside. We got bids back ranging from 1,600, that's 1.6 million to over 2.1 million. And as we looked at the bids, there were a bunch of requirements that these companies had to have prior to being able to bid. One company that did put in a bid didn't check all those boxes,
Mhm.
and they unfortunately were the low bidder. And so state law says that we are supposed to take the lowest responsible bidder. And so because they didn't have all the prerequisites to do a project this magnitude, we weren't able to accept their bid. So we did accept one bid from a company for 1.8 million, which is less expensive than we had originally thought.
Mhm.
And we're excited to get this done.
All right, and that once again is the South Water Tower in the city of New Hope. One other item from the council meeting, and here are some pretty pictures to show you what went on. This was the recognition and the presentation of the In Focus Photo Contest Awards. Tell us about this fun part of a council meeting.
Absolutely. We have these 6 contest winners in for the different categories for the In Focus contest. This is an annual contest. The rules are you have to live, work, play, or worship in New Hope, and the photos have to be taken within the corporate city limits of New Hope.
Mhm.
And we received dozens of photos. And the quality of the photos were the thing that really took me back the most. Just beautiful photos, people that have such an eye, people that have such an ability to capture those images. They shared them with us through this contest, and boy, I'll tell you, it was tough selections, but they did a wonderful job. Our committee that went through and picked the photos. We also had a um, one where people could vote on their favorite. So there was one
Mhm.
of the parts of the contest where one winner was selected by the people that filled out the forms, and they picked their own winner. And so that
Mhm.
was a lot of fun, a public choice award. And it's just a neat event. We've been doing it for many, many years, and it really highlights the beauty of New Hope.
Congratulations to all of the winners in that event. And you can go to the city's website, newhopemn.gov, to get a closer look at the pictures if you would like to. Coming up, the Planning Commission meets on the 4th of February, and we'll have a recap on what was covered there in our next update with the mayor. Now to some other notes happening around the city. Let's begin in community development, talk about scattered site housing. A couple properties to mention here. The first is on 5400 and Wisconsin. Tell us about this property that the city is looking at.
The city just purchased the home this week for at 5410 Wisconsin, purchased the home, and this is going to be a home that will need to be demolished and rebuilt. So what happens is the city buys the property, prepares the property, which would entail removing the home, grading the soil, and making it all build ready. And then we put out a request for proposal to uh, 14 different builders, and they come back to us with plans and specs, and what they're going to pay us for that property. And we sell the property to them, and they put up a house that we have selected. So we've done a lot of scattered site housing building in that area. That's a target area for the city, and so we're excited to see this process get going. Before we take the house down, it may be used for police training, SWAT training, and or fire department training.
Mhm.
So it gets a lot of good use first, and then we're able to raise the property and make it ready for building a brand new home.
One other property the city is looking at is up on the 62nd Avenue area. Tell us a little bit more about that look for the city.
We're looking for a property or at a property that just went through an appraisal at the end of January, and community development will be bringing the property and the costs for it to a work session, strike at a council meeting coming up, and an EDA meeting coming up where the decision will be made whether or not to purchase that property,
Mhm.
and then again go through the same process of raising it, preparing the property, and selling it off to a builder. Again, another area of the city that we would really like to see improvement in.
Next department to touch on is the police department, and something happening that happens on a regular basis. Gets a lot of people from the community together, including some younger ones. Tell us about this great cooperative effort.
You bet. Through the Joint Community Police Partnership, JCPP,
Mhm.
and the police department, many police departments have formed what they call MACs. It's the Multicultural Advisory Committee, and it gets people who live in the city, work in the city, or worship in the city. And these people can be part of this MAC, and they usually meet monthly. And they work on ways for the police department to build bridges with the different communities within the city. Now, New Hope has a very successful MAC, but they took it one step further. And what they've done is they have made a MAC group out at our Robbinsdale Cooper High School.
Mhm.
And this has now allowed us to uh, interact with youth. And that's something that we really want to do, is find ways to build bridges with the youth. And the Cooper Mac uh, is outstanding. It is made up of young people who want to be a part of this. And they were extremely instrumental working with Representative Cedric Frazier in getting the school resource officer bill passed last legislative session.
Mhm.
And they went in and they talked about why having a school resource officer in place at the school is super important, and how it makes them feel more safe and the good things that they do. And for the legislature to hear that coming out of the mouths of youth was a strong weighing point in their decision to
Mhm.
um, change the law so that officers were able to get back into the schools.
Hats off to that group, and more to come as they continue to work here in the community. One other police note, firearms training. I understand this is something that happens on a regular basis.
It is the Minnesota Post Board, or the Peace Officers Standard and Training Board, the group that holds all of our police officer licenses, mandates that we qualify a certain number of times per year. And that includes not only our handguns, but that includes our long guns, rifles as well. And so the the range masters for New Hope put together a class and a training and sent it into the post board. They reviewed it, said, yes, this meets our standards and qualifications. And through the last week, the every officer from the New Hope Police Department did go through this and successfully qualified with their with their rifles, their handguns and rifles.
Mhm.
And it's not just completing the course, you have to complete it with proficiency, and it's scored. And so if you don't make that proficient number, you don't pass. And I'm
Mhm.
happy to say that all of our officers in New Hope passed.
Let's hop ahead to Public Works. We have something to talk about in their line of business with the weather, and it's not snow related, it's cold related, and that affects some things under the ground.
Absolutely, Dave. We have, with the fluctuating temperatures, especially over the last 2 years, we have a shifting of the ground, and it heaves and contracts with the temperatures, and our pipes under the ground can break if it happens too much. Stress fractures that can cause leaking in the pipes. And so they've been out fixing water main breaks and doing it in incredibly cold temperatures, and again, also doing it in warmer temperatures.
Mhm.
And I talked to them, they prefer the warm.
I can
And
imagine.
uh, and so unfortunately they can't do full road recovery this time of year. So they've been doing a lot of patchwork on the city streets uh, in these areas where they've had to dig into the street. Please know that when the weather becomes appropriate, those will be more they'll be handled and fixed in a far more professional manner.
Very good. One other Public Works note, you may have seen some work if you're around Dorothy Mary Park. They are busy and they're on some brush cleanup.
Yeah, I received a ton of phone calls about people in the Dorothy Mary Park area, and they're working on trail and brush clearing. And there's trails that go through Dorothy Mary Park, and we don't want those to suffer from overgrowth. So our public works teams have been out there trimming back trees and making sure that the paths are passable and certainly user friendly.
Let's hop over to Park and Rec. A few things to update you on happening here. The first is some new sports activities going, new sessions happening for a couple. Which sports are getting going right now?
Basketball and the one that I love, pickleball.
Hmm.
And those are starting up in association with Rev Sports. And certainly, please contact our Park and Rec department if you're interested in being a part of it. Great thing is, you can be a beginner in this and learn and work through and become really good at this.
Hmm.
It's just these are fun events. Basketball is exactly the same. Really, these are a couple of the courses that really have a high number of attendance.
Great way to get involved in the community. Here's another neat partnership between Park and Rec and an outside organization, and that's Courage Kenny. Tell us
Yeah.
what happens here with some of the parks in the area.
Every year, Courage Kenny runs their summer programs primarily through Hidden Valley tennis courts and hockey rink. And this has been an ongoing relationship for a number of years. It has been so nice to be able to open up our recreational facilities to people that have mobility challenges. And it's been a great relationship, and we look forward to many more years of partnering with them in this project.
We've mentioned in the past couple months that we would keep you up to date on the farmers market activity as it comes back into existence. What is the latest update, Mayor, on their work?
Well, our staff is continuing to work on preparation for this year's farmers market, including creating and updating vendor guidelines. Additionally, they know that no one works in a vacuum, and so they are attending meetings with other city-run farmers markets and keeping the management team up to date on what's going on with it. things are full steam ahead with this, and we're exceptionally excited to get this civic event back going, because there were a lot of people from the community that showed up during the first farmers market. We're looking forward to build on that.
All right, we'll keep you up to date as it moves along. One final note from Park and Rec, some activity over at the golf course that included cattails. What happened out there in the middle of winter?
Well, on the number 8 hole, they have a area where cattails grow, and to help them continue to grow and not overpopulate and suffocate themselves out, we ended up having to do a controlled burn. And that literally means lighting them on fire in a controlled environment and, letting them burn themselves back, and they will grow back in the spring. Now, the interesting thing is that these don't burn as well as we had thought they would. We thought we'd light the 4 corners, it would burn into the center and be done. They didn't burn as well as we had thought they would, especially being as dry as they were, but they're awfully dense and thick. So we had to do a little extra work with it, but we were able to finally get it done and handled. So it keeps our course beautiful.
Makes maybe number 8 a little easier to play in the coming years. So let's hope so.
Absolutely. You
One
bet.
final note to pass along in our update today is from Human Resources and IT, and that's a housing code enforcement inspector position. You're in the application process, I understand.
We are. And as I've said previously, we don't often have vacancies for employment in the city of New Hope. And when we do, there's a lot of applicants. When we had the admin position at City Hall, we had 150 some applicants. This, we have selected 13 people to go through interviews, and again, very highly qualified set of people, and I'm excited to get somebody on board to help relieve the workload of those that are there at this time. And I really believe we're going to end up with a great candidate.
Very good. Well, that is your update of what's happening in the city of New Hope. And again, as always, look to the city's website, newhopemn.gov, for other things happening in the city and information about some of the topics we've touched on. Mayor, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate the update here, and we'll look forward to talk to you again next week.
Dave, thank you so much.
And stick with us. Here's a look at some other things that are coming up in the community. For more city stories, check out ccxmedia.org or find us on social media.